Thank you, and thank you, Taoiseach. Like other speakers, Taoiseach, I deal daily with housing queries, and I find lately there seems to be a huge issue with communication between the department and local authorities. And I just feel on issues like this, we need to make sure that we're all on the one wave track. And I just had a case recently where I had a lady that had to go into emergency accommodation because of the ban on the eviction. Her child is very autistic. Her child actually goes to school on a bus, has to be picked up from a homeless shelter and goes to school on the bus. And for me to try and fight this particular case, I just feel there's not enough leniency there. Now, the council, in fairness to Carlow County Council, they're very understaffed, and I know myself that they need a lot more staff and they really need them in the housing department. But I just feel the department needs to give more guidelines, and I think there needs to be cases like this that are extreme and really cases that need to be urgently looked at, need to be a priority. And I just think, Taoiseach, I have spoken to the Minister about this, as you know I would have had, but I just feel that we need to have more communication, and I'm going to ask for that. The other thing I want to ask about is, again, on transfers, it's become a huge issue for me as well, and I think I've spoken to a lot of other TDs. While transfers, and I have a lot of genuine people that need transfers, but they're only getting them on medical grounds. And while that's welcome, I also know that there is genuine cases there that people really need to be transferred and they're not getting it. And yet, I can only say this hand on heart. If you owed money to local authority, any local authority, straight away they say to you, you have to put a payment in place, which I understand. But there needs to be, Taoiseach, and while I know there is good work being done, and I know, and I can only compliment Carlow County Council, I would ask that there be more communication with the department and local authorities. Thank you.
Deputy Patrick.
Just on the housing budget, you know, I really think any time that we talk about underspends that happen in the housing budget, it's disingenuous not to acknowledge that it is the biggest housing budget ever. Certainly in cash terms, 4.5 billion a year. That is the context to any underspend, a massive increase in the housing budget, and that's the context under which underspends occur. What are we doing to try and avoid a repeat of that this year? Reallocating earlier in the year. So trying to figure out earlier in the year if projects are slow or stalled, and then reallocating it to projects that can be speeded up, and that's what we want to do. And just in relation to Deputy's comments, I think we should acknowledge that house prices are now at long last falling in Ireland. They've been falling for several months. They probably peaked last year, peaked at the same level they peaked at roughly 14 years ago. Still too high, but it is encouraging to see house prices now coming down in this city and across the country.